target individuals and patriotic Americans who are my friends and viewers of my YouTube channel. I am doing this update status video to talk about my target individual experiences and more. Particularly, what I'm thankful for as a patriotic American and a target individual for Thanksgiving, a short Thanksgiving speech, and I do not consent speech as well. Before I get into it, I'm going to tag my friends on Facebook. I tagged them in on Facebook now. I can say what I'm going to say. I don't consent to being a target individual. I don't consent to Havana syndromes, no-touch torture, psychotronic weapons torture, V2K, voice of God weaponry, effect telepathy, remote neural monitoring manipulation, e.g. heterodyne brain cloning, and aura harvesting / tampering, and other relevant stuff such as possible deniability and gaslighting and psychological warfare against American citizens by their own government. I'm thankful for you, my fellow target individuals and patriotic Americans, for following me on Facebook and now here on YouTube, for your subscriptions, for helping me out with my target individual experiences since about over 6 years ago, when I first got into the target individual community, and I knew what being a target individual was, and I was aware that I was one. I forgot exactly who told me that I was a target individual because it was so way back then, and they fucked around with me so hard back then that I have trauma that has caused me to forget a lot of things, especially the itty-gritty details. I think that I just winded up doing research about the negative thoughts and voices I was getting in my head, and doing Google searches and Bing searches on mind control technology, evil entities like extraterrestrials that can cause mind control, and eventually I got into target individual stuff, and then I just joined a target individual community because that's what I realized I was at that point, or what I probably was, because I was cynical and skeptical at first, because at first I thought I was going crazy. And I took my meds the first, I would say, few years that I was a target individual, and they started putting Adolf Hitler thoughts in my head. It made me say with forced speech Adolf Hitler. They would put thoughts about Adolf Hitler's feces, poop, in my head, like his poop is in my ass, he took a dump in my ass, he raped me, my food is his poop, that kind of stuff. They would also force me to say Hitler's poop, and it was because I was a neo-Nazi at the time. I was going through a rebellious neo-Nazi phase when I was in my early 20s to late teens, because I thought that the Holocaust and stuff was not real, because I got into neo-Nazi alternative history revisionist shit. Some of it was true, but most of it wasn't true. There was something called Adolf Hitler, the greatest story or the greatest truth never told, and then Adolf Hitler versus Jew World Order. The thing I hate about the Nazis and about all the entire fucking thing is that they were glorifying Christianity while shitting on Jews. When the elephant in the room, the big fat fucking elephant in the room, is Christianity itself. Christianity is a laughing stock to both Jews and non-Jews. Because Christians are practicing cultural appropriation of the Jewish culture, and they're trying to be Jews. They're holier than thou, sanctimonious assholes, where they think that they're even more chosen by the God of the Jews, Jehovah Adonai Yahweh, than the Jews themselves are. The Jews know that they will always be their God's only and first chosen ones, making them super special, regardless of what the Christians want to say about it. Christians are fucking full of themselves. You're not special for wearing a holy cross and worshiping a rabbi called Yeshua, or what people call Jesus Christ. And look at how horrible the God of the Bible is, and how horrible Jews are, that his only fucking son, had to die on a cross to be tortured for everybody. Just for that in and of itself sends a bad message. No God, who is actually good, would do that to somebody, and not, let alone his son. And especially if he's a misogynistic, sexist patriarch who views women being less than men. Of course, his precious boys are going to be more superior and special than his precious girls. Jesus Christ should have been a girl. That's what Jesus Christ would have done. That's what God should have done. He should have sacrificed a virgin daughter, his virgin daughter, instead of his son, because at least that would have some consistencies with the Bible and the Torah and Talmud about women being inferior to men. I just don't understand why a patriarchal God who loves men only would sacrifice his only son. Something with a penis, of all things. And I also don't like that the Nazis and Nazi apologia isn't even coming from a scientific, non-biased approach, at least. Instead, they're coming from a Christian opinionated ass hell fucking viewpoint, and I find that quite difficult to get my mind around. History should be researched and told from a scientific, secular, and non-emotional viewpoint. And then, once people get the facts down, then they can be as biased, emotional, and opinionated as they want. But I'm a scientist. I don't hate anybody. I don't even hate Jews. I just point out the errors. And I know that truth itself, scientific fact itself, is the ultimate control in the experiment of life. You need a control within your science experiment. You need a foundation within your building before you can enjoy it and do all kinds of stuff in it and with it. I stopped being a neo-Nazi when I realized that Adolf Hitler and the Nazis were fucking nut jobs. They were living with contradictions, and they were fucking selfish assholes. The Nazis were no different than the Jews. They think they were the most superior race on planet Earth. It's just they think they're a superior race on planet Earth for scientific reasons rather than religious reasons like the Jews do. And they also work with Muslims, and Muslims are no different than Jews because Islam. Um, Not to burst your bubble, leftist, Democrats. I'm going to become a Democrat whenever I vote for hopefully Robert Kennedy next election. And I've always been more of a Democrat than a Republican, even though I do vote for Trump, I do vote red. But I have had to because of the contradictions and incompetence of the Democratic Party. I'm going to tell you something. This is not a conspiracy theory at all. The Jews created Islam and Christianity to divide and conquer people. And it wasn't all Jews. God forbid, not all Jews, and that's a scientific anomaly and improbability that an entire race of people would do that. An entire group of people. It's the Zionist, elite Ashkenazi Jews, the Khazarian Mafia, who created Judaism, that created Judaism for Gentiles in the form of Christianity and Islam. And they did it to recruit, enslave, and ultimately divide and conquer in order to better recruit and enslave Gentile Goyim. And you could do your own research about this. And the Quran is a sick as hell sycophant. The Quran, the Islam holy book, talks a great deal about Jews, but in the most elaborate and absolutely bragging about the Jews, saying great things about the Jews and how powerful the Jews are. That's what the Quran says to Muslims about Jews. At the same time as demonizing the Jews and calling the Jews something bad that needs to be eliminated. Muslims hate Jews way more than Christians because Islam was created by the Jews in such a way that it is Arabic sycophancy towards Judaism. And that is to get a trauma bond and a trauma response out of the poor Arabic people that have been forced for thousands upon thousands of fucking years to be Muslim by Jews. And the Jews created Islam's Sharia law to enslave Arabic, Gentile, Middle Eastern people, children, and women. And that's why I don't like any of these religions. I don't like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And when I see neo-Nazis, I laugh at them. I get disappointed at them too. Then I just feel shame and disappointment for myself for even being one. And I kind of laugh at myself, saying, you've been had.
Hey, Savannah.
What?
Are the dogs in the house?
Yes, they're all in the house.
Maggie. Pixie.
They are in your room sleeping. They're lazy bums.
Oh, the door shut?
No, the door ain't shut. They just don't want to come out, Mom, because they're lazy. That was Mom calling from the Alexa. And I'm just sick and tired of my target individuals in the target individual community, conspiracy theory community, what you call truther community, and a lot of others like the metaphysics and spiritual communities, being fucking Christian, Jewish, and even Muslim asshats who think they're all spiritual and shit. And they even been messed with by extraterrestrials and intelligence agencies to think that they are their gods, angels and demons talking to them, but mostly God, Jesus, Allah, and the angels talking to them and saying how special they are and shit. And that they think that it's Satanists ruling the world. It's not fucking Satanists ruling the world. It's Zionist Jews, Khazarian Mafia, Elohim cult, these people that worship these evil extraterrestrials called the Elohim, Anunnaki, Alpha Draconian, and Grey Aliens, along with their black goo PPAI that Alfred Lieberman, Weber, and Harold Kautz Villa talks about. These people want you to think they're Satanists because in actuality, they want you to hate true Satanists, which would be people like myself. The word Satan in the Jewish tongue, Hebrew, means shaitan, which means adversary, enemy. I'm the adversary and enemy of the Jews. I'm also an adversary enemy of the Muslims and Christians. Even Muslims and Christians call me Satanist too. Because they all come from the Hebrews, from the Jews. They were all created by Jews. It's all Jewish bullshit at the end of the day. It's all Abrahamic, Middle Eastern, Mesopotamian bullshit. That's all it is. And people need to get the fuck over it. That your religions are just a rehash, copycats of an older religion that you cannot separate yourself from because you're practicing the same rituals. You have similar language around it, and you have a similar culture to it, which is Judaism. And the God of the Bible, the God of the Jews, he's a fucking evil extraterrestrial that Zechariah Sitchin calls Enlil in his books that he writes. He's an archaeologist, an experienced archaeologist that went to college and everything, and he was even raised in a Hebrew house. He translated these Asian tablets from ancient Samaria, and they said that evil extraterrestrials that were aggressive and predatory towards us invaded us, and that they made us into slaves for gold, but also a lot of other people say they made us to be their cattle and they kill and eat us, and they drink our blood, they get adrenochrome out of us, they suck lotion and everything out of us. That's what you worship, an evil extraterrestrial and his evil extraterrestrial species that think of you, a human, as food. That's why the Jews use the word Goyim, because they're part Anunnaki, part Enlil Marduk's descendants, part human, and they think and believe, and it's because it's scientifically true, that they have the right to kill and eat humans and enslave humans because the extraterrestrials that created them to do that. True Jews that actually worship Enlil, the Elohim, Anunnaki gods, are fucking right. on that side of their bloodline, their Elohim, Anunnaki, Alpha Draconian, Reptilian side of their bloodline, they are right from a predator's perspective that they have the right to kill, eat, and enslave their prey, which is Homo sapiens, human beings, terrestrial earthlings. Okay, that's science. That's a fact. It's like a wolf saying it has the right to kill and eat a bunny. It does. And it needs that protein. It's like a cat saying it needs to eat a rat. Yes, it needs that protein, and we need it to keep the fleas and plague at bay by killing that fucking vector, that rat, that vermin. I don't care how you feel about the rat. I don't care how you feel about the bunny or about yourself as a Homo sapien. There is always something in someone that kills something in someone else, even if it's just death itself. That's what the four horsemen of the apocalypse is about. The three ways that you can die: from famine, pestilence, and war, which eventually leads to death. And death is the ultimate predator, the ultimate apex predator of a life. The Grim Reaper is an apex predator that plays God with life itself. Because that's what polarity is. The ultimate way that you play God, or something plays God with something, is that something is its diametrically opposed opposite. Like heat and cold, light and dark, life and death. That's what Mark Passio, or Hermites, Hermeticists, would call the law of polarity. And you need to understand this, my fellow target individuals and patriotic Americans, what the law of polarity is. You need to understand natural law. In order to understand natural law, you need to understand the 7 laws, which are the 7 hermetic laws of the universe. You need to look it up. Natural law, check. You need to look up the 7 hermetic laws of the universe, check. You also need to look up the scientific method as well. That will teach you how to fucking think for yourself. It's called the Trivium Method that Mark Passio talks about. You can look at Mark Passio's videos, the Natural Law Seminar, and you need to get your head out of the fucking government and out of your fucking holy books and quit brainwashing yourself in that bullshit. And learn some real life skills about the world, learn some fucking facts. Even doing something as simple as getting some street smarts will do a long way in your day and in your life. Learn how to cook a proper meal is a good skill. I do that all the time. Go out and forage for mushrooms. Learn how to forage for medicinal and edible mushrooms. Number 3, grow a garden. These are the kind of survival skills that are going to save your ass. Praying to Jesus or any God, even a pagan God if you're a fellow pagan, isn't going to do you much. This ain't going to save you when you're fucking starving. When you're fucking starving, maybe it's a good idea to quit wasting your food, grow your own food, and try to save your food by preserving it in a certain way, like canning. That will go a long way of not having a bad day, not knowing what to eat, and not having anything to eat at all. Because this, or I love Satan shit, or whatever the fuck you think you're doing, that's this or that or this, praying to a God, meditating, that's not going to save your life. Saving your life means practical life skills, knowledge, be hands-on. That's what it's all about. My fellow target individuals, they keep on thinking that if they keep praying, and even if they this in most sickest mind that they forgive their perps that everything is going to turn out right. No, it's not. This is warfare. Things don't turn out right. You think in World War II, when we were fighting the Nazis, you think that everything turned out all right for every fucking soldier on the battlefield that goes to any other war? No. You think everything turns out all right for good people, no matter if they're soldiers, police officers, or just a restaurant owner? No. Bad things happen to good people. Deal with it. All because you're a good person doesn't mean you're entitled or impervious to being violated, to being a victim of a crime. You don't just ask evil nicely. Can you please not murder me? Can you please not steal from me? That isn't going to make evil not happen to you. If a thief wants to steal from you, they will steal from you. If they want to murder you to steal from you, they will murder you if they have the means to do so. And if they have the absolute conviction to do so. I'm going to show you a video on my phone of Mark Passio stuff. You need to look up this stuff. Right here. Antonov from the Silver Legion, a dragon starseed. Now, dragons aren't alpha draconians. They're a different extraterrestrial species altogether. Dragons and alpha draconians look different. They eat different things. They have different abilities and everything. So don't confuse dragon with alpha draconian. Tanov said that this Canadian woman who is a dragon starseed who works with an off-world, interdimensional, extraplanar, what you would call armada or army, called the Silver Legion. She said, all because you ask evil to go away doesn't mean it's going to go away. That's what she said. That is a fact. You don't ask bad guys to not be bad guys. Expect them to become good guys. That has never worked in the history of the fucking universe. If you want to make bad guys go away, you either kill the bad guys, lock bad guys up, or become a bad guy yourself and become their cohorts, henchmen, and fellow gangsters. That's how you make bad guys go away. That's the only realistic 3 ways you make bad guys go away. Kill them, lock them up, or become part of their posse, their mafia, their syndicate criminal organization. Become a bad guy yourself. If you can't beat them, join them. That kind of deal. And that's what our country's government, the United States government, has been having a hard time with. That's why there's so much corruption in our country's government, because our government is having a hard time with bad guys, so much so that the bad guys completely demoralize, dehumanize them, and brainwash them into giving up their sovereignty, integrity, and dignity as American citizens within our government, and to become bad guys. And these bad guys that have done this to our government and turned our government against us are the Zionist Jews, Illuminati cabal, Elohim cult, or Anunnaki cult, Men in Black, Alpha Draconian human hybrids, Grey human hybrids, Anunnaki Elohim human hybrids, and a hybrid of the two or three hybrid types. Alpha Draconian Archon parasites. Uh, Look that up. Tanov talks about it, and a lot of other people do too. Uh, the PPAI slash Black Goo that Alfred Liebermont Weber and Harold Kautzvella talks about. Nachtwolf and the Space Nazis that Penny Bradley talks about. These are actual Nazis, not new Nazis, by the way. Skull and Bones. These are the kind of people, the kind of groups that have infiltrated our government and corrupt our government officials, government personnel, military, police officer, etc., along with evil extraterrestrials, as well, Alpha Draconians, Gray Aliens, Alpha Draconian or Draco Archon parasites, PPAI, predatory parasitic artificial intelligence slash Black Goo that Alfred Liebermont Weber and Harold Kautzvilla talks about. The universe killers that Tanov talks about because they're the ones that are controlling all the bad guys in the universe. Or almost all of them. Probably all of them because they kill entire universe, so they got the entirety all chess and checkered out. Then they're literally doing above 5D chess on that fucking shit. Because they're beyond the fifth dimension. I don't know what... Tanov didn't say what dimension the universe killers are, but if the universe killers can kill entire universes, and she's only fifth dimensional when she goes into the Silver Legion, into seventh dimensional, I think that these beings are probably somewhere around the seventh to even 10th dimension density. Now, that's horrible. They are a Lovecraftian Thanos level evil threat that make even that Black Goo shit look kind of cute because it can take over galaxies, but I think it will eventually grow into a universe killer entity if it's not taken care of. And these evil extraterrestrials that have infiltrated our government worship this Black Goo substance. This artificial intelligence that's predatory and parasitic in nature. That's why it's called PPAI, for fuck's sakes. But I would just call malevolent AI M-A-I. And this AI system from outer space has been reverse engineered, back engineered by the government to make the nanotechnology, chemtrails, smart dust that are in our heads target individuals, and that this thing is also in our heads. Some of you, my fellow target individuals that went for the most horrific experiences and have the most horrific bodily changes, probably have this Black Goo in you to some extent. They're also spraying the Black Goo everywhere. And the Alpha Draconians, from what I learned from Alfred Lieberman Weber, have went in the ocean and put Black Goo substance, the AI nanotech, gray goo in the ocean, and as a way of holding our planet hostage. That's sick. Tanov from the Silver Legion also says that we're being held hostage by evil extraterrestrials. That if the good extraterrestrials that come down to planet Earth, like Tanov from the Silver Legion, and the good extraterrestrials that created us, that seeded us on this planet, the evil extraterrestrials, if they see them try to land on this planet, will kill us. The evil extraterrestrials will kill us, do horrible things to us, make us do horrible things to them if our good extraterrestrial brother and sisters come to planet Earth. And along with our good extraterrestrial mommy and daddy and grandmommy and granddaddy extraterrestrial species that made our species, Homo sapien terrestrials, earthlings. If you don't know this is what I'm talking about, look up Asian aliens, Asian astronaut theory, panspermia theory, Drake equation, Goldilocks, and the Anunnaki, Elohim, Nomu, and look up Patty Brazard, Sergeant Patty Brazard, Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, Not from the Silver Legion, Harold Kausbella, Age of Truth TV, Miles Johnson Project, Karen McDonald, Clan Mother, and these people will tell you what's actually been going on. Also, Penny Bradley is a good person you should learn from. And then there's others called James Rink, Super Soldier Talk, Zohar, Stargate, and that is all that I can come up with. And I'm also thankful of all these whistleblowers and people that are journalists like Carrie Cassidy, Robert Duncan, Richard Lighthouse, and Alfred Weber for getting the truth about what's actually going on and has been going on this planet. Thank you all, David Icke, Alex Jones, Mark Passio, Jordan Maxwell, Michael Saurin, Charlie Giuliani from Renegade Broadcasting and True First Radio, Cliff High, Alfred Weber, Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, Miles Johnson from Basis Project, Penny Bradley, James Rink, Arkham Raw, Disclosure Now, Disclosure Project, Age of Truth, Alexander, Brian 2, Brian Cofon, aka Justin Carter, Kenneth Peartree, William Benny, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, Veritas, Barry Trower, Roy E. Cups, Deborah Tavares from StopTheCrime.net, Patty Brazard, Army Sergeant Patty Brazard, Karen McDonald, Clan Mother, Sabrina Wallace, Kathy Meadows, Debbie Newhook, trying to think of another one. And David Wilcock, Drake Bailey, Drake Kid from Cosmic Voice, Gail Gaia, and others for awakening me to what is actually going on. I've been listening and watching your content for over 7 years now, and I hope more people see your stuff and understand what's going on. Thank you all to getting this information out within the UFO extraterrestrial communities, conspiracy theorists, aka truther communities, target individual communities, and more. My mom and my brother are home. Talk to you later. Take care. My fellow target individuals, the patriotic Americans, have a good night.